The stars above Valoria Prime shimmered like a sea of fractured diamonds. From the balcony of the Celestial Palace, Queen Zalara watched them in silence. Her towering, silver-veined spires stretched high into the violet sky, yet none of their grandeur eased the hollow ache within her chest. Her daughter was gone. Not dead. Worse. Lost. Princess Aurelice, heir to the Valorian throne, had vanished 3 cycles ago during a diplomatic voyage to the outer systems. The royal escort fleet had returned damaged and terrified, reporting an ambush in the Rift Nebula. Their attackers were unknown, their ships black as void stone, their weapons tearing through shields like paper. Amid the chaos, the princess's vessel had been pulled into the nebula's crimson storm and never emerged. Search parties scoured the rift. Dozens of ships disappeared. Even Valoria's greatest navigators refused to enter the cursed region again. Now, Valoria whispered of doom. Without Aurelice, succession was uncertain. Factions stirred. Old enemies sharpened their claws. And Queen Zalara, ruler of 1,000 worlds, felt powerless. She turned away from the stars when the palace guards announced a visitor. "A human male seeks audience, your radiance," said Commander Vesh. "He claims to have knowledge of your daughter." Zalara's luminous eyes narrowed. A human. Few humans ever set foot in Valorian space. They were considered fragile, short-lived, emotional, useful traders, nothing more. "Bring him." They escorted the human into the throne chamber. He was tall for his species, wearing a worn flight jacket, dark hair streaked with starlight dust. His eyes, however, held something unusual, quiet resolve, the kind forged by survival. He bowed awkwardly. "My name is Captain Elias Rourke, independent explorer." Queen Zalara studied him from her levitating throne. "You claim knowledge of my daughter's fate. Speak carefully, human. False hope is punishable by death." Rourke swallowed. "I'm not here to lie. I was in the Rift Nebula 6 months ago. I saw something no one else would believe." The chamber hushed. "The nebula hides an ancient prison structure," Rourke continued. "Not natural. Built. I crashed near it after my ship got pulled by a gravity storm. Inside, I found a woman. Not human. Silver skin. Luminous eyes. A crown-shaped neural crest." A collective gasp rippled through the court. "Princess Aurelice," whispered Zalara. Rourke nodded. "She was alive. Weak but alive. Held in a stasis field powered by alien technology. I freed her." Zalara's breath caught. "Then where is she?" Rourke hesitated. "We tried to escape, but something hunted us. Shadow constructs. They destroyed my ship. I barely survived in an escape pod. The princess, she stayed behind to hold the creatures back, so I could flee." Silence fell like a blade. Queen Zalara descended from her throne. Her towering form glowed with rising fury and grief. "You left her." "I tried to carry her," Rourke said quietly. "She pushed me toward the pod. Said her duty was to survive for her people, but she saw I was injured and knew only one of us could escape. She chose to save me so I could tell you." Zalara's radiant aura flared, cracking marble tiles. Guards raised their weapons, but the queen lifted a hand. "Enough." She looked at the fragile human who stood before her, trembling but unbroken. "You have brought me truth. For that, you live." Rourke exhaled shakily. "But," Zalara continued, her voice steel, "you will now return with me to the Rift Nebula. You will guide my fleet. And you will help me bring my daughter home." Preparations began immediately. Valoria's warships gathered in orbit, silver hulls gleaming like swords drawn from heaven. Priests whispered prayers. Engineers trembled. No one wished to enter the rift again, yet none dared defy their queen. Rourke stood aboard the royal flagship, the Star Throne, staring out at the swirling red storm of the nebula ahead. "You're sure about this?" he asked quietly. Queen Zalara stood beside him, her regal presence calm yet fierce. A mother does not abandon her child. The fleet plunged into the nebula. Immediately, reality warped. Time fractured. Strange whispers echoed through the corridors. Ships flickered in and out of existence. Several vanished without signal. But the Star Throne pressed forward, guided by Rourke's memory of his crash site. After hours of navigating the storm, they found it. A colossal structure, black and spiraling, anchored in the nebula's heart like a spider in its web. "The prison," Rourke said. "That's it." As they approached, shadow-like ships emerged, forming a defensive swarm. "Enemy vessels," Commander Vesh shouted. Battle erupted. Valorian plasma beams lit the crimson fog. Shadow ships split apart and reformed, shrugging off damage. Their weapons fired beams of distortion that erased matter from existence. Rourke watched in horror as a Valorian cruiser folded into nothing. "They're not ships," he muttered. "They're projections." Queen Zalara closed her eyes. "Then the source lies within the prison. If we destroy it, the shadows die." "I can guide you inside," Rourke said. "I've been there." Zalara opened her eyes. "Then we go." They descended in a smaller strike vessel, piercing through the prison's surface. Inside was a labyrinth of shifting corridors, walls pulsing like living flesh. Rourke led the way, memory guiding him. Strange symbols glowed along the passage, whispering in unknown tongues. Finally, they reached the chamber. Aurelise hung in midair within a shattered stasis field, her silver form faintly glowing. Around her swirled towering shadow entities, guardians of the prison, feeding on her energy. "Mother," Aurelise whispered weakly. Zalara rushed forward, but a barrier flared, hurling her back. The largest shadow spoke in a voice like grinding stone. "The Lightblood Princess powers our rebirth. She remains." Queen Zalara rose, her aura igniting like a star. "She is Valorian royalty. You will release her or be unmade." The shadows surged. Battle broke out. Zalara fought like a celestial tempest, beams of pure energy tearing through darkness. Rourke grabbed a fallen rifle, firing at pulsing nodes along the walls, targets he remembered from his escape. Each shot destabilized the prison's power grid. Aurelise watched, her strength returning as the stasis weakened. "Human," she called, "the core crystal above me controls the prison. Destroy it." Rourke climbed the writhing structure as explosions rocked the chamber. Shadow claws reached for him. One tore into his leg, sending pain screaming through him, but he kept climbing. At the top, a glowing black crystal pulsed with stolen light. He raised the rifle. One shot. The crystal shattered. A shockwave rippled through the prison. Shadows screamed and dissolved. Walls crumbled. The entire structure began collapsing into the nebulous storm. Zalara broke through the barrier and caught her daughter as Aurelise fell. They embraced as mother and child, radiant and whole. But the ceiling cracked above them. Rourke limped toward the exit. "We need to go, now." They raced through collapsing corridors, leaping gaps as the prison imploded. Just as the last passage disintegrated, they burst into open space, where a Valorian shuttle pulled them aboard. The prison vanished in a brilliant flash, leaving only swirling nebula behind. Hours later, aboard the Star Throne, Princess Aurelise stood before the gathered court. Her return sparked tears, cheers, and reverent silence. Queen Zalara placed her hands upon her daughter's shoulders. "Valoria is whole again. Then she turned to the human standing at the edge of the hall, bandaged and exhausted. "Captain Elias Rourke," she announced. "You brought my daughter home. You ventured where no Valorian dared. You saved a queen's heir." Rourke shifted uncomfortably. "I just did what I could." Zalara stepped forward and lowered her crown-shaped crest slightly, a Valorian gesture of highest honor. "From this day, you are Guardian of Valoria, a title never before given to an outsider. You will have wealth, protection, and a place among the stars of our empire." The court murmured in astonishment. Rourke stared, stunned. I don't know what to say." Aurelice smiled warmly. "Say yes. My mother rarely offers gifts twice." Rourke laughed weakly. "Then yes, your radiances." Later, as celebrations echoed through the palace, Rourke stood on the same balcony where Zalara once mourned. Stars stretched endless before him, but now, beside him stood two luminous figures, the queen and her daughter. "You have a strange world," Rourke said. "Beautiful, dangerous, bigger than anything I imagined." Aurelice looked up at the heavens. "And you crossed it for someone you barely knew." "I guess that's what humans do," he replied. "We help, even when we're scared." Queen Zalara regarded him with newfound respect. "Valoria will remember that. My daughter lives because of you. My people stand because of you." Rourke smiled softly. "Then I'm glad I didn't run." The nebula of the rift shimmered faintly in the distance, a scar in space, now silent. No more shadows. No more prison. A lost daughter had been found. A queen's grief had ended, and one human had carved his name among the legends of the stars. The celebrations in the celestial palace lasted 3 days. Music echoed through silver corridors, fountains of luminous mist danced in the air, and every world of the Valorian Empire transmitted the same message. The princess had returned. The throne was secure. Yet when the final echoes of joy faded, Queen Zalara summoned a private council. Only 3 stood within the chamber: the queen, Princess Aurelice, and Captain Elias Rourke. A star map hovered between them, displaying the Rift Nebula, now calmer, but still stained crimson. Aurelice studied it quietly. "The prison is gone," she said, "but the shadows were not native to that place. They were servants, which means there is a master." Rourke frowned. "You think something built that prison?" "Yes," Zalara replied. "Something ancient. Something powerful enough to bind my daughter and feed on her light. If such a force exists, it may seek another source." Aurelice looked to her mother. "And if it returns, Valoria will not be ready." Silence lingered. Then Queen Zalara turned to the human. "Guardian Rourke," she said, the title now official, "you have walked the rift and survived. You think like an outsider, unbound by our traditions. Valoria needs that." Rourke raised an eyebrow. "You want me to explore the unknown parts of your galaxy?" "I want you," Aurelice added, "to find out who built the prison before they find us again." Rourke exhaled, half smiling. "You realize I was just a freelance pilot trying to pay fuel bills, right?" "And now," Zalara said, "you are the spear that walks beyond our borders." He laughed under his breath. "That's one way to put it." Days later, a new ship rested in Valoria's royal hangar. Sleek, silver, armed with both Valorian technology and human navigation systems. Its name shimmered across the hull, the Homecoming Star. Rourke ran a hand along the vessel's side. "Never owned anything this shiny," he murmured. Aurelice stood beside him, wearing her ceremonial armor now, no longer the weakened prisoner of the rift. "You will not travel alone." "I'm listening," he said cautiously. She smiled. "I will accompany you." Rourke blinked. The heir to the throne wants to go wandering through uncharted space with a human pilot? Aurelice tilted her head playfully. You saved my life. I trust you. And the galaxy beyond Valoria's borders must know that the princess they tried to cage now walks free. Queen Zalara approached, her presence radiant and solemn. She placed a hand on her daughter's forehead, a blessing of ancient royalty. Go, the queen said. Find the truth. And if darkness rises again, bring it into the light. Rourke glanced at the mother, then the daughter, then the endless stars beyond the hangar doors. Well, he said, climbing the ramp, guess we're starting another adventure. Aurelice followed him aboard. The engines hummed. Light gathered beneath the hull. Queen Zalara watched as the ship lifted into the sky, ascending past palace towers, past orbit, past the shining fleets of Valoria. A mother no longer grieving, a daughter no longer lost, a human no longer ordinary. Far beyond, in the depths of uncharted space, a single black star pulsed. A whisper drifted through the void. The lifeblood escaped, but the hunt continues. The homecoming star leapt into hyperspace, trailing silver fire across the cosmos. And so the legend began anew.